Welcome, everyone, to another Film Threat Watch Party. You are in for a treat tonight. We have David Cross and the director of The Dark Divide, Tom Putnam, here, along with other special guests. Grab yourself a drink. Go get the movie right now. Go on Amazon Prime. You can get it on Vudu. You can get it on iTunes. It's everywhere. The Dark Divide. Get that movie. Get it queued up. In 15 minutes, we're all going to press play together. We have David Cross here answering your questions. Get ready for another Film Threat Watch Party. Hey, look at that. BD knows what's up. BD knows that you can post a comment, a question right there. However you're watching this, whether you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook. I think we're even on Periscope. What's Periscope? I don't know. Do people still use Periscope? We're also on Twitch. So give us your questions, your comments, and watch the movie along with us. I do have The Dark Divide on my, well, this is just the first very second of the movie. We know that there's going to be some credits at the very beginning. I have the movie queued up already on my iPad. So you should do the same on your iPad, your however you watch your movies. Throw it on right now, get it ready, get it queued up, purchase, rent the film, however you're going to see it, and we're going to provide commentary and answering your questions. So post your comments in the chat. I want to introduce, before we get to David Cross, I want to introduce the director of The Dark Divide, Tom Putnam, a guy I have not seen, well, in years since he reminded me when I did an episode of the Film Threat podcast that he was an intern for Film Threat in the 90s, of all things. Tom Putnam, director, welcome to the Film Threat Watch Party for your movie.
Good to see you, man. Yeah, last time we saw each other in person, we were at Larry Flint's building back when the old Film Threat offices.
That was when Film Threat was a print magazine, back when that was a thing. You know, right. Now I think we don't have a Film Threat TikTok, but I understand it's very popular.
I've heard of that. The kids, yeah. That's big with the kids.
Before we introduce David Cross and then Robert Pyle, who David plays in your film, how did you come across this material? How did you find the material to make this film?
So it's based on a book called Where Bigfoot Walks, Crossing the Dark Divide. And it all takes place, it's a true story. And we filmed in a lot of the locations where the true story takes place in Washington's Gifford Pinchot National Forest. And I grew up right by there and basically spent every weekend hiking and fishing and camping in a lot of the locations where Robert Pyle's book takes place. And I read it, and I live in LA now, and it reminded me of how much I missed the outdoors and how special that place was to me. So that was kind of, for me, the motivation to spend, the next 10 years trying to get this made, to just share this place that is so special to me with other people.
Well, the film is, first of all, funny. It's beautiful. It's definitely cerebral, which is in the official description of the film. It's unexpected, and it stars David Cross, who we were talking before we started this live stream. David never chooses the easy role. It's not like, I'm just going to play this. I'm going to play. He is a type of actor and creator who always challenges himself. Before we bring on David, let's talk to Robert Pyle and bring him on our watch party here. Robert, the author of the book. How are you doing, sir?
Very well. Thank you, sir. How are you? And congratulations on your wonderful innovation online here.
Well, I didn't invent it, but I'm utilizing it so people can watch. And also, thank you for writing the book that of course, that the film is based on. I understand you have an affinity and a love for butterflies. What drew you to that?
Well, I was just a kid. Like most kids, I caught bugs. But I lived in North Denver, and my mother had a little garden there. And one day when I was just a little boy, she showed me something in the garden, a little silken thing. And she said, Bobby, this is a cocoon. It's going to turn into something beautiful. And then when the first butterfly appeared, she said, that was it. And well, that caught me right there. Now, I have to tell you, I first got into seashells in a big way, and I was a big seashell collector. But that's a dead end in Denver, Colorado, for a kid oncologist. So finally, when I was 11, butterflies started showing up in a big way, and I said, right, that makes sense. It was all butterflies, girls, and discus throwing from then on.
Well, that's amazing. Let's talk to David Cross now, and let's bring him on our watch party here. David, here you are. So good to see you on a Friday night. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Thanks to all the folks who are showing up. Hello, Robert.
Hi, David.
I said hi to Tom earlier, so I'll skip that part. I did say hi to Chris earlier, but I'm going to say hi to him again. Hello, Chris.
Hey, how's it going, David? What's up? So what brought you to this project?
It's going to be two things. It's either going to be a fun, interesting, challenging role that I can grow in, or it's going to be a lot of money. And when they told me I could make $1,000, and that, obviously before taxes, before commission, so I usually end up with about 34% of what I make. Actually, no, because of the Trump tax cut, I make about 44% now. But I just said, yeah, I could use $440. And they said they weren't going to be able to pay me in dollars. And I, would I want some of a tiny little bit of a Bitcoin, just a teeny little bit, a sliver,
That was a good deal.
And I said, yeah. And then they paid me, and I lost my hard drive in a dump in Wales. So who knows? I don't know what it's worth now, what any of that stuff. But yeah, that's what brought me to the role. Basically, it was well over $400.
And working with Tom, obviously, I interviewed both of you actually on the Film Threat podcast about it. Working with Tom, I feel like what I learned is you actually became pretty good outdoorsman, which is not something I would have expected. Like, I mean, what are your thoughts?
I think they're being generous. I became a good outdoorsman, safe in the knowledge that there were other human beings around to help me out. And I did when I was preparing for the part, which I hung out with Robert a number of times, and we had a couple sleepovers and snuggles and stuff. But I went out with a survivalist that Tom hooked me up with.
Kat, the production designer's husband.
Yeah. And he was a consultant on the film as well. Mm-hmm. And he was awesome. He taught me a lot. But I think it's generous to say I became I like the outdoors. And I also, just to point this out, my daughter had to paint my nails today. So, and I wiped off all the face paint that you put on earlier with glitter and stuff. I was tempted to leave it on, but that
would have been amazing.
It'd be a little distracting. But shoot, what was I saying? What was I saying?
But like when people see you in the movie, that's not, cinematic trickery. Like you're in the water and it's cold, or you're hanging off a cliff and it's.
I'm always, I've always tried to do my own stunts and whatever I can do or what they'll let me do, and I'm definitely like energetic. I've got energy, always have. But I'm not like adept at being in difficult natural situations. That's not my forte. But yeah, I can hang off a cliff. I'll do that.
But that's what the character was, right? I mean, it wasn't Rambo. Like you're supposed to be out of your element and suffering through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I just want to remind people before we start to please get the movie right now. You can get it on Amazon, iTunes, everything. There's a little you can see a little URL that's scrolling across the bottom. You can go there. There are all the different ways that you can find The Dark Divide. We're about to start the movie in about 5 minutes. David has a glass of wine, as I can see. If you're looking for a beverage to enjoy, you might want to grab yourself a beverage and watch the movie along with us. And please post your questions and comments. I will be putting up the best questions and comments for all of us to answer while we watch the film. I did
tell them what the winner of the Best Question Award gets. 2 tickets on the Norway Cruise Line. The I don't remember the Princess. It's a cruise line. It's a cruise ship, and they'll be just doing circles. In around the UK. They don't ever dock, but so Best Question gets 2 tickets, book passage for 2 on a cruise ship. Or it's going to Wuhan or something. I don't know.
It's called the SS Corona.
Yeah, SS Corona.
I thought you were going to say maybe that your daughter would give the winner of the Best Question a makeover.
Mm-hmm.
Which could actually, based on the results, I mean, something you're looking for, something different in 2021. Because what a year this past few weeks has been. It feels like a year already.
Yeah.
Why? What's going on? I haven't really been. I've been kind of out of the loop. What's up?
What's going on? Oh, geez. I don't know. I feel like someone should do a Rip Van Winkle story where someone just doesn't look at Facebook for 24 hours. And then they see Facebook after 24 hours and just get caught up on everything. And it's a mountain of.
But they still have grown a beard. Just
right.
Rip Van Winkle.
They've got some, even better, their friends have glued the beard on them and convinced them they've been out for a year. It's just crazy. So please post your questions and comments. David, the one thing that I did notice, like watching the film, I've watched it twice now. I was worried for you. Like some of the movie seemed fairly dangerous. I mean,
what do you mean?
You might get hurt.
You weren't the only one. Yeah, there were some concerns throughout. Everybody had everybody's back though, and even though I'm on camera and there's some dangerous things, don't forget there's a crew there that has to get heavy equipment in and out of these places, and some of these locations were dangerous. And there was, I'm sure we'll talk about it during the movie, but there was the issues with a deadly man-eating mountain lion that we had to deal with, where we got to talk from somebody at the park who just sort of dropped this. Oh no, it was somebody who was told. It was somebody from our crew, right? And they
saw it. Yeah, we saw it when we were prepping the night before, and it was. I didn't know they were so big. It was huge.
But they had said that it had threatened some woman or something, or some woman, not chased him, but
stole her car.
The guy, whoever gave us the talk, it was about, we were getting ready to shoot, and it was like, oh yeah, just I need to tell you, there's I'll save this for when we're doing it. Right?
Yeah, we had the mountain lion, bears.
Speaking of beards, your beard looks good, Tom.
Thanks, buddy.
I hadn't seen it before.
I didn't have it a week ago.
Yeah. Well, it's I don't want to say it's an improvement, but it's a beard.
Look how young Chris looks compared to all of us.
Yeah, but
I feel left out with no beard. I feel left.
You look like one of the little rascals compared to the rest of us.
This is for real. When I don't have very good vision. I had a botched laser thing, and I've got my eyes are off, and I didn't have my reading glasses on when all this stuff started coming on. And Tom, I saw you pop on, and I was over there at my little kitchenette, and I looked over and was like, hey, why is Jay Mascis on this thing?
Oh,
you have he's got that.
Did you see my Instagram post last week that somebody kept telling me I look like Jay Mascis?
Yeah, well, it's also the glasses. You look like Jay Mascis. Well, then people independently came up with that, so there must be something to
That's
it.
crazy. Oh, it's better than Jeremy Piven, which is what I usually get, or the guy from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Cameron Fry.
Hey, what I got for years was Jerry Garcia.
I don't see Jeremy Piven at all.
I don't think so either. That a Verizon guy? I get the Verizon guy. I used to.
Yeah, I've gotten the Verizon guy. In fact, I don't think I had done Arrested yet. Maybe I just started doing Arrested, but I was on a flight and on an American Airlines, and I was going like either LA to New York or New York to LA. Haha, see? I agree with Lori.
Lori!
And I was in an aisle seat, and the stewardess bent down, and she's like, and she looks at me, she's served everybody and doing all her stuff, and then she kind of stands there, and she looks, and she kind of bends down towards me. She's like, "So you here with your posse?" With a smile. And I'm like, and I'm reading. I'm like, "What? You got your crew with you?" I don't know what you mean. She's like, "Your posse."
Who's this going to be?
And then she goes, "You're the Verizon guy, right?"
Do people ever walk up and are like, "Dude, you look so much like David Cross"?
Occasionally, but even more than looks, I get somebody will hear my voice and say, "Wait a second," like my voice is recognizable to them, but they haven't made the connection. They don't know exactly how or why.
They think they went to high school with you or something.
How about that bartender in Stevenson in that bar that had the butterfly outside? We went in for beer. Remember the bartender in there, the young woman?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You knew exactly who you were.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And you were gracious to her.
Well, I try to be.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a picture of Jay Mascis to show you people that you're all insane.
A number of people have popped on here. I don't know if you saw Dark Hermit with a Q.
I saw Dark Hermit.
He or she. There you go. Yep.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, David Cat too. It's a trucker cat.
No, come on.
Pretty much.
Yes. No, yes. If you put glasses, Jay Mascis wears glasses. He doesn't have them in that photo. And if you put a trucker cap on, yes.
I wish I could skateboard like him.
Sure.
David, do you get mostly when people do recognize you, do they say Mr. Show? Do they say Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind? Do they say Arrested Development?
I mean, mostly it's one of two things. It's mostly Arrested Development or Alvin and the Chipmunks, but which kind of undermines your observation that I take challenging roles.
But that goes to when you said about the money.
Yeah, no, that was for money and to work again. When I took the first ship, I mean, nobody expected it to. I was contractually obligated to do all the rest of them, but nobody expected it to do that well. But yeah, I took it because I hadn't worked in 6 months, and I was just kind of freaking out. That's a long time to not get any work when you're an actor.
I remember when we did the laser tag scene, which was like the one scene that had a bunch of little kids, and you came out and they were like,
"Yeah,
it's him."
Dude, here's two. I was on a beach in Mozambique, which was, I mean, there were there was no fancy places. This was one of those things where you took a bus and then you got a car to go through the woods, and then you kind of went through this tall grass and came to a clearing, and there were a handful of places along the beach, but there was no resort or anything like that, in the middle of fucking nowhere on a strip off the Indian Ocean in Mozambique. And where we were staying, these little shitty hut kind of things, they were having this rave thing, and I was like, this isn't any good. I'm going to try to find another place. And I went walking down the beach about a mile to this other, outcropping of 8 little hut things. And I walk into the office, and I asked the woman, I was like, do you have any place? And she looks up at me and she goes, "Are you Uncle Ian?" And like, I mean, in the middle of nowhere in Mozambique.
That's pretty cool.
I was on a ferry in Istanbul, and I was just sitting on the ferry, and I was like sort of dangling my feet over with those little kind of like chain ropes, and just sitting down there. And this kid who didn't speak English just come up to me. I'd say he's about 12, 13. And his father came over, and they were from Peru, and I guess visiting Turkey. I'm not exactly sure. Just on a ferry. And he said, "My son recognized you. He doesn't speak English. You're from Alvin and the Chipmunks." Yeah. Yeah. Hi. There you go. Thank you. It was just all over the world. China, Shanghai, I mean, that's where they bootleg this stuff. So they definitely.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully people are going to be bootlegging The Dark Divide so that more people will recognize you from that.
Oh, why would you say that, Chris Gore?
Yeah. I'm telling you where to buy it right now, but
you're taking money out of Tom's mouth.
Yeah, I gotta buy spaghetti for my kid.
He eats money.
Well, I think we're just about ready to start. So just to remind everybody, please ask questions, watch along with us. David and Tom and Robert are here to answer your questions. Tom Putnam, though, is going to be kind of really running the show. This is your director's commentary, Tom.
Oh.
So I'm going to fade into the background.
Okay. And I'm going to get some more Jack Daniels then. I'll be right back.
We'll get some more Jack Daniels, and we'll press play the second you get back. Whoa, Jack Daniels. There you go.
Hey, David, I got to tell you that for years and years and years, I always got Jerry Garcia. Then all of a sudden, it changed to Kenny Rogers.
Did you get more silver?
Yeah, I got more silver. I got a little thinner for a while. And
I can see it.
He had his base job, But during my Butterfly Big Year trip all around the country for Mariposa Road, I got Kenny Rogers over and over, and I got the best free meals, all kinds of things. And I'd always send him away by saying, "Hey, now just
remember." Go to a Kenny Rogers Roasters?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Rest in peace, Kenny Rogers Roasters.
They went out of business. I think they went out of business, but
no, I was in Palm Springs and with some friends, and we were at a very expensive restaurant because their daughter was a concierge. We had a voucher, but it was a hugely expensive meal, and the waiters kept bringing wine over and over and over. And finally, he said, "Well, I know we're going to have to pay something for this." He said, "Oh no, we know who's with you." It was Kenny Rogers, and then these three girls at Kerouac's old beach, Bisbee Beach, in Big Sur. There were these three girls from New Zealand. They absolutely knew I was Kenny Rogers. Mm-hmm. So I played it along. I was dressed apart, and I said, "Oh, the Honda is just a disguise. The Hummer's back at the ranch." And finally, I sent them away with now remember, girls, you gotta know when to fold them, and they all tittered away. They were happy. Why ruin their lives?
Well, I think we're about ready to start, so I'm just going to assume everyone in our audience has gotten the film. It's queued up for me on my iPad. So are we all ready to press play? Tom, do you want to do a countdown?
Is that going to pop up on our screen?
Well, no. You press play and watch it on a second screen.
And
so how do I do this? What do I?
So we're going to see it automatically, right, Chris?
What's that?
We're going to see it automatically. You have us covered, right? Us and the.
No, I don't. I don't have you covered. Oh, no, I thought Annie explained it. Oh no. Okay. All right. Let's
could get ugly. All right. You do what you got to do. I probably have a copy of it somewhere.
All right. Well, okay. Well, yeah. All right. And you got to send one to David and Robert.
I don't have.
I'm not a magician.
Nobody explained this.
Oh no!
We were supposed to.
Earlier, you said we're going to have it on a screen for us. I have it, so I can talk us through where we're at.
Yeah, you know the movie though, right? Like this, I can pop up the, it'll. Well,
is there a way that you can have it in your window? Well, we don't need to see a big screen, but just like a visual reference of like, oh,
sure, I could hold it.
Well, I don't want you to do that the whole time, but
oh no. Okay. All right. Well, okay. So our audience is prepared. We're not prepared. That's
I can
right now.
Anybody who's commenting from Periscope, you don't count.
Right.
That's no. I can talk us. I have it up, so I can talk us through where we're at least.
Yeah, I'll have it up, and I can talk us through like this. I mean, you know the general sequence. This particular scene, the scene where you're in the store.
Right. I've only seen this film 89 times, so I might be a little fuzzy on some.
Right. Okay, so I'm gonna press play. Tom, you ready to press play?
What's your first frame? That's not the right first frame.
The first frame it just says Public House. That's the logo right at the beginning. Okay.
Hey, Chris,
ready? We're gonna count down.
The ribbon at the bottom.
Oh, what's that?
The ribbon that says Dark Divide Watch Party that blocks most of your screen.
Oh, okay, cool. Boy. All right, we'll get that. We'll take that off.
Yeah, there you go. And then
we can see Rabbi Schneerson. Rabbi
2021 vibes.
Okay,
we ready?
Everybody
ready?
We're pressing play.
10.
Put it where we can see it. That would help.
9, 8, 1. Play. Does yours say Uncorked? Mine says Uncorked. I don't even know what that is. Who are they?
It's a distributor. Uncorked. It says TBVE Films.
I'm a little behind. Uh-oh.
This is a disaster.
This is like the first talkie and Singing in the Rain. I can't stand them. Okay. Here we go. Logos.
Wait, there you are. There's David.
Can you just set it there so we can watch it?
Serious?
Yeah.
I can't see anything, Chris.
I'm sorry.
Chris.
It's very dark. It's very dark.
Okay. But also it's the aerial shot, everybody.
Right.
So we did this actually. This is one take, and it's pretty amazing that the drone guy got so excited. And the goal here, we're with David, and we're so close to him for a lot of the movie. Whenever we could, we tried to get up and get away to give people a sense of the scope and just how sort of primeval this forest is. So this is Highway 12.
It is truly. I had never been in this kind of setting before, and it is really stunning. I mean, the Gifford Pinchot National Forest is it's really amazing, and it's not really like any of the woods that I've gone into, and dense, foreboding woods and on the East Coast, but it doesn't even come close to this area of the country, the Pacific Northwest. It really is like you just feel very physically, and you just feel small. You realize how small you are.
David, you can see why I wanted to get up in there, can't you?
Yeah. I mean, and I can see how somebody would get lost pretty easily and get disoriented and overwhelmed, and especially if they don't know what they're if they're a neophyte. But it really is beautiful in a way that I just haven't experienced in my life. And I've been in some beautiful settings, but it was unique.
Even growing up there, I was amazed when we were filming in the old growth forest, how big the trees are. It was like being on Endor or something. You just feel so inconsequential. Yeah,
and that's the part they called the Primeval Forest, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were there.
Bob, is that right?
Say what?
Bob, is it called the Primeval Forest? The old growth forest that's been untouched?
Correct. Many people call it that, the forest primeval. That's right.
Yeah, somebody on the crew mentioned that, or maybe it was Kat's husband, but George, right? We should not just keep saying Kat's husband. It's George.
George.
But yeah, the forest primeval is and it feels like that. It really does, and it feels like you're on a set. It's crazy. It is so lush, and stuff grows there that doesn't grow anywhere else on the planet Earth. It's pretty cool.
Yep.
And Kelly Martin Hurley, was the billboard really there? It was not. That was a billboard I went out and photographed separately, and then we made it into what we needed. That is a digital effect.
Hey, how come I'm not seeing questions?
If you click on the comments tab, do you see that?
No. Oh, yes. No.
Also, hey, Ryan Sims. Hello.
Wait.
Where are you seeing that, Tom?
I see it on the right. It says private chat and comments.
No.
So this is here. David stops at a gas station. And it's his first sort of interaction with the locals, and it's Cameron Esposito, who's an amazing comedic actress. And I think, David, this is one of the few moments where you got to actually interact with another human being.
I was this was I don't see any of these comments. Oh, I see comments. Yeah, I got it. This was shot towards the end of the movie, of the shooting, and I was so, it's almost like a prisoner who gets out, has been in isolation and just has to talk, and the ability after all that, slogging through the snow and the woods and all that stuff, the just to be able to improvise in a scene and play around with camera and like we did. I was so very excited. I was almost like a little boy with that kind of enthusiasm and excitement about just kind of fucking around. It was one of the few kind of, funny scenes we did too.
I mean, we shot so fast. I mean, a lot of these setups we did in like 1 or 2 takes. And I can remember that it was like, let's do another take. This is great.
Yeah.
People are talking to each other. This is fantastic.
Yeah, it was after a lot of, just talking to myself or crying or, or being despondent or just close.
The rash that you had for like a week or so.
I was very happy to get to, have at least half a day of shooting stuff with funny, good actors. So, yeah.
And by the way, this thing was so low budget. We didn't normally you have like a truck towing the car. This is just David driving the car with like a camera strap to the side.
Yeah.
And that car actually didn't survive the shoot. The very last day, the transmission dropped. So it
was really difficult to operate. It was old school. Everything was manual. There was no automatic anything in there. And there were some things where the transport guy had to get in the car and get it into a place for me to drive it too. Remember, it was like so difficult to maneuver in some of those places. And I do remember being pissed off when the first time I have to drive it is the first time I ever drove the car. And I must have said like 4 or 5 times to the first AD, like, hey, let me drive the car before we actually have to film me driving it, because it's like a 1971, whatever.
1982 Rabbit.
1982 Rabbit. And, it's manual. I haven't driven a manual in a while, and otherwise we're just going to waste time. Never did it. They go, okay, you're up. We're shooting you, exiting in reverse from, when Tia's at the window, and that was the first time I drove. I remember being angry, and of course it stalled out immediately. I put it and tried to reverse it, and we wasted some good time. And then putting it back in position, try it again.
You and I were in the car together once, and they forgot to close traffic, and you and I almost got T-boned by a semi backing out.
Yeah, that's right. We were coming to the Animal Farm place or whatever. Yeah.
Every day on this movie was like day 37 on Apocalypse Now, where you're like, I don't know what's happening. Monkeys, decapitated bodies.
That old VW was very similar to the actual 1982 Honda Powder Milk that I took the adventure in. That car was with me in a bunch of trips, bunch of expeditions, and very similar to the one you used.
Powder Milk.
I can see the movie now. This is great. Thank you, Chris.
Oh,
yeah, I think these two guys were great. This is the first day of shooting, I believe.
Yeah.
This is the second scene we shot. We shot the stuff in the bookstore, and then we moved down here. And these guys are really good. These actors. I believe they were local Portland guys, I believe. And
local Portland guys.
Yeah, they were. What's more difficult to work with, a bad car or a bad actor? Oh boy. I mean, they both have their drawbacks. a bad actor you can cut around. A bad car, you're just going to waste a lot of time. And you better know how to drive. But yeah, those guys were just kudos to them. They were fun to play around with. They were improvising too, and oh, dark hermit, you've done it again.
When will you ever learn? Yeah, this was our first day. So this is like, I mean, you and Deborah had met, like, we rehearsed in New York like half a day, and I think you guys went to dinner, but you guys got thrown into this. And one of the things I loved, this was our first day shooting, you both felt so comfortable together, and like a couple that had been together for 25 to 30 years and had the love and the frustrations and all the little body language.
Well, thank you for that. But you know, this shoot was remarkably fraught from beginning to end of shooting for all a myriad of reasons. But I remember even the first day there were, like, you know, I remember getting this location going, wait, because it was supposed to be a at the college, you know, what do you call it in the,
like a faculty mixer.
Yeah, faculty mixer at a university, and like, what? Where are we? And we had come from the bookstore, and they were just like it. I remember then, and I also remember coming. They go because we were under an overpass. We're like, what area is that called in Portland? Do you
That's
know?
Northeast Portland.
Northeast. We were under like a lot. It was like industrial and under large overpasses, and just fighting all kinds of stuff. And then they were like, "Oh, here's where you're changing," and it was like a pod, like a zip up pod that holds a person. This is pre-COVID. This would have been the perfect movie to shoot.
Yeah, but not then.
But yeah, it was like day one of like, wow, where are we? What's going on? Holy moly.
Oh, we're back at the trailhead. This is great. This I always like this little scene. So what most people won't know is this scene and him and your character with the wedding ring is based on one of my favorite poems that Bob wrote called Heavy Metal Band, about how after his wife died, the weight of the ring and like how this tiny little ring could carry so much and have so many memories and so much, like, baggage is the wrong word, but just have so much emotion attached to it.
Yeah, so much weight, so much power.
Stunt spider, great spider, Marvin.
You caught that poem in just a few glimpses on screen beautifully, Tom.
Hey man, I'm a Bob Pyle fan. I know your oeuvre.
You're also a master filmmaker.
Oh, thanks, buddy. This house was amazing. So this was our location manager's family home that we filmed in, and it just had this great sort of lived-in feel to it. And so much like my house. Yeah,
very much like my house.
I have the sign. If you ever want the sign, if you want a new sign for your house.
Oh, I'd love it. I'd love to have that sign.
Okay, I'll hook you up. It's in my garage.
Sweet Park.
The locations guys, he came from a family that has a lot of land up there, right? Isn't that how we came to have a number of these locations? And
yeah, when you see the logging scene, that's his like family's property that they log, and like his uncle came and cut down the tree for us, and it was. I mean, this was definitely the movie that's, what's that old thing? Like, hey, let's put on a play. Like, everybody just threw everything that they had.
Hey, I'm sorry to butt in, Tom, but this scene on the porch was one of the most meaningful to me in the entire movie, because it really looks not only like our porch right there, but it looks like us. I felt like that was us. David, you and Deborah just got Tia and Bob in that scene as much as anywhere.
Okay.
It really moved me and still moves me.
You know, a lot of the jewelry and the clothes that Deborah wears in the movie were Tia's clothes, Bob, that remember that you had kept and that you gave us. And that was sort of an amazing thing to watch Deborah put those on and just kind of embody her. This was the day that you came to set too, right?
Yeah,
yes.
I was going to say we were careful not to, as I'm sure you were as well, not to have you there for the more intense stuff. But yeah, those were kind of fun, playful, relatively more unplayful scenes to watch.
Yes.
And also the flashback to, I think, when y'all were much younger.
Yeah.
Gives you Marcia.
Bob, what was that like watching this? That must have been just like an out-of-body experience for you.
Well, I bawled my eyes out, of course, but it was also deeply humbling because, to see people pay attention to your art, your work like that, but to your person, and particularly to Tia, to honor Tia in that way, which you and Deborah both did, David. And parts of it were fun. I mean, watching you two in the meadow, and I was the only one who got to watch that, besides Tom and the camera person, was fun. It was very special. But the hard parts, yeah, I bawl a lot watching those, but they're so well done.
And as Lisa Mall points out, her art is on the walls. That is her real art.
That's her real art, yes.
Lisa was our very hardworking second AD, assistant director, without whom we would all probably still be in the woods eating one another and chewing bark to survive.
Lisa worked out of her car. That's how low budget. Lisa worked out of her car, and Jade, the costumes, initially was working out of her car. And guys, I'm telling you, you've heard tales of low budget movies, but
this was the worst.
Low budget. I mean, it was nuts. And she, wardrobe was a whatever she had, like a Pinto hatchback or something. And Lisa worked out of her car too.
Yeah, for 3 to 4 weeks we were shooting, I was sleeping in a youth hostel.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
It was well. At my dinner for 3 nights when I
I'm sorry
in I don't remember what the location was. Probably it was pretty deep in there, but the place that I was staying in was too far away from the set, so they needed to get me closer. And we were in the middle of nowhere, and there wasn't any place to go. And there was these cabins, these little A-frame cabins, the tiny little, you walk in, that's it, everything. There's like a hot plate and stuff, and but because there was no restaurants or anything like that, not even fast food, and nothing that was open, on the way to or from, and nothing that was, for 3 nights, because we had no catering. We had like craft service and stuff, and craft service was just like a table with, peanuts and beef jerky and whatnot. And my dinner for 3 nights, I'd wait for, I'm spacing on her name, really nice girl who's doubled as a PA.
Oh yeah, she's awesome
and crafty. And she would save me peanuts and beef jerky, and that's what I would have for dinner. I was smart enough to get a big box of wine, the things that have like 5 bottles in a plastic sack. And I had that, and I would have wine and peanuts and beef jerky, and go back to this little A-frame cabin.
Yeah, the crew was staying in like a summer camp. There was no electricity or running water. It was like Friday the 13th, where there's just the bunks.
And Debra was in there and woke up and the heat was off, and it was.
Debra called me at 3 a.m, and she was like, "There's no heat, there's no hot water. I'm not trying to complain, but like I'm gonna freeze." And I had shooting.
No, she's not a diva at all.
Tomorrow. No, oh my god.
She rolled with everything, and I don't think she expected it to be that kind of ghetto, but then she woke up and it was literally like 46 degrees.
Yeah, she would have like gone to the hospital. So I remember like I'm calling the like camp owner. Debra Messing's gonna freeze to death. Come on, man.
And it's a disused camp. That's the other thing. It hasn't been. Nobody had been in there for, somebody came in obviously and cleared out all the cobwebs, but prior to that, nobody had been really living there.
Because we were in the middle of nowhere to like shoot. You're gonna shoot the outdoors. It's
yeah. No, I understand, but it was just. Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
I have a comment on the current scene on the screen.
Uh-oh.
Yes, sir.
I want it to be known, that's wonderfully played, it's a delightful scene, but I want it to be known that I have known Oregon Grape as a dear friend for 50 years.
Sure. I mean, again, there were liberties taken of your, your level of naivete was not quite as, it's closer to my real experience. But yes.
Yeah.
Nobody enjoyed it as much as I did, David.
I want to be very clear. Bob is a more competent outdoors person than we portrayed him.
Yeah.
As the movie, because everyone who is friends with Bob has emailed me to complain.
Yeah, but what kind of a story would that make,
Right? Thank you.
Exactly. Plus, there was, speaking about those hard scenes with Tina.
The grapes and you knew how to set up a tent.
What's that?
You knew the grapes and you did know how to set up a tent.
Yeah, I did. But it was absolutely necessary for the storyline. And also, there had to be a little comic relief in there, right?
Yeah.
Plus, I think a movie that has David Cross and doesn't make any room for his comic chops, that's kind of a stupid movie.
There we go. Chris is agreeing. I'm going to get more wine.
I need another beer, too. I'm glad you did that.
Okay, good. Me too. Chris,
right,
you're piloting the Zeppelin.
Well, it's funny. We've never done this before, but actually speaking, I pointed my phone at my iPad in another room, and that's on. Normally, you don't want people to see it just for bootlegging purposes, but I think it looks so bad that no one's going to watch the movie this way.
Oh, right. No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you did that. That helps, and that's smart. And thank you. At least it gives a reference here to look.
Now I know the setup for the future. If anyone wants to do that, I'll point my phone at my iPad. I don't know. I feel like
you have your volume up in the other room because you're in echo.
Yeah, I might. I'll mute myself for the moment.
Oh yeah. Nope, I can hear it.
All right. You know what? It's somebody. It might not be me because I think I turned the volume down on everything. So I think it might be Tom. You know what? I think it's Tom because he had. Yeah, I think it's Tom.
Hey, you know how you just
headphones off? Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
You know how you just vandalized that sign, right? With bad management.
Mm-hmm.
I really did that. That's a real. I mean, a lot of the stuff in the movie is based on real episodes in the book. It really is. And then you took your take on it, which always improved it. But that was a very real thing with the sign and the bad management.
Yeah.
And I just hope they don't go back and find that and call it sedition someday.
Or we'll get fined for littering, I think.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Let me see. Testing. I'm gonna go check it out. I'll find out. It's somebody.
What happened?
Feedback. This is like every bad Zoom call. Okay.
These were real Girl Scouts. They were so great.
The Girl Scouts
were great. Again, local. Well, were we in Washington at this point, or
that scene is like east of Hood River. I don't know if that place even has a name. Yeah,
but they were good. Those girls were good.
So, David, did you ad-lib that about nobody told me about the bears, and then where you say my apples? Did you ad-lib that?
I ad-libbed that. Yes.
That was masterful. That was wonderful.
You can't write that.
I don't say a whole lot in the movie, but a third of it is ad-libbed.
Crack up every time. Just like
So-
when you hang your head in the laser tag.
So this is a scene from Bob's book. It's one of my favorite scenes where he realizes that for the first time, you can make the tiniest mistake out here and they could kill you. And this was definitely oddly one of our most difficult scenes to shoot for a whole variety of reasons. By the way, those are all real butterflies that we shot the scene and then we went and filmed the butterflies and added them to the scene. Were you scared doing this, David? It's so much higher than it probably looks.
I wasn't, I think, well, the first place we were going to shoot when we got to that location that y'all had scouted, and then the safety guy was like, absolutely not.
Right.
No way. You may not do that. And that I think I would have been a little more scared of, but this I wasn't scared of that one at all, really. I mean, it's not as terrifying as it looks. There's a bit of an angle where my feet are on the ground, the slope there. So it wasn't like I was hanging off and holding onto a rock, dangling over a ravine. But obviously, and we checked and made sure the rocks weren't going to come out and stuff. But no, I wasn't that scared. In fact, that was one of those arguments that I've had on a number of.
Here comes the money.
Oh, I don't see the thing. What is it?
Your posterior.
We've lost the movie.
Those $1 million cheeks.
Chris,
It was like
lost the movie.
150. I mean, it was not. It was no joke. So this scene, it's just something I hadn't seen in a movie before, which is, you see movies about someone whose spouse is dying, and you never see the work and the stuff that goes into it. You see this sort of like glamorous, they're in bed and they look beautiful, sort of Julia Roberts scenes. And I really love this scene because it shows how hard it is and how ugly it is and how people can love each other but still struggle. I mean, I think each of these angles we probably did maybe one take. It was a really intense scene. I've always been curious, David. I mean, what did you draw on for that? Because there's these moments there that just feel like I'm just watching this unfold.
I mean, I just tried to think of, my wife, really. I mean, it was a little more than just like, what would I do? What would David Cross, and this is day 3, maybe?
Yeah.
This is our 3rd day of shooting. But, it was about, putting myself in that, I wasn't really Robert Pyle anymore. I was like me pretending that this was happening to me,
I remember we shot the first take of that scene and I was ready to like move in and shoot the coverage. And Kyle, our like amazing sound guy who did like work miracles, he like stopped me and was like, I need a minute. And he was crying and he was like, I need a minute to like go compose myself so I can set back up. It was super intense.
That was, and and we had that in the lava tubes too. I know people were, but that was also at the end of a crazy long day where everybody was emotionally. Did anyone on the crew have issues with the altitude?
Not that I remember. We end up, when you'll see it a little later in the film, we end up at like above the tree line, like at some pretty high altitudes. We had a lot of problems, but we
were kind of acclimated by then, I think, right? Because we never were at a base and then traveled 10,000 feet up. We never did that. So yeah, I don't think anybody really had altitude issues. Because
a lot of our crew were Oregon crew, and we intentionally like hired people who had a lot of outdoor experience and things as well. So this is called the Ghost Moth. This is another one of my favorite moments from the book where you realize that just in your everyday world, there are things that are magic that can happen. There are these moths that glow. Nobody knows why, and they're very rare, but sometimes they show up, and it's a moment of just realizing that there's so much more to the natural world than we ever realize.
They blew my mind.
I remember in the script, this is like perfect for this movie. In the script, I wrote it was like a cloud of ghost moths surround him and he dips the jar into the cloud. And then, we have one ghost moth.
Yeah.
That's the script.
That was your friend, Robert, right? Who was the kind of moth expert.
Dana Ross, he's great.
And he was like the wrangler who brought us the real moths that we needed.
That's
yeah,
right.
we had those are all with except for 3 shots, all of the like 200 shots in the movie. So 197 of those are all real butterflies and moths, and he went out and found the right species. And
I saw Dana
super
recently,
cool.
and we got to go through a lot of how that worked out. I had a lot of questions for him. He's the perfect person you ever could have had for that.
He was a hero.
You do not want to get the Lepidopterus Society, the Xerces Society, the Lepidopterus cartel angry at you. So we have to be very, very careful. You do not want those guys fucking with you. They will take you down.
They will do it.
They just got added to the FBI's threat assessment list.
Yeah.
Very, very dangerous. Oh, so in this scene, I want to point out when you see any of the artwork in the movie above the bed, we're going to see some paintings in a moment. Those are all Tia's actual artwork that Bob very generously loaned us for the film. And there they are above the bed. For me, that was like incredibly special to really include her in the film.
Well, you know, it was for me too, and for the family too, as well, of course.
And this is another scene we did. Basically, we shot in like one take, and it was like shooting a documentary where you guys were in the room for a while and you were just chatting, and then we started rolling and we entered, and it all just sort of unfolded, and we moved around to capture it, which was just like
called pulling a Putnam in the industry, where it was a smart approach. It was, Tom had kind of cleared the room, and we knew what was we were shooting, and we knew what we were about to shoot, which is post-mortem, and we just sat and kind of improvised. Not that we knew it would never be used in the movie, but just sort of in character, just talked. And then very quietly, Tom, I think, did you have the camera or was it Sean?
Sean had it. Sean's on here, actually. Hi, Sean.
Oh, hello, Sean. Came in and we shot it, and then I don't even know if we did it. We probably did a second time, but I don't think we did a third time. And then that was that.
I think we did each angle once, and like I picked up a couple of lines. You said something to me that, as a director, was incredibly helpful. You were like, try to get it on the first take, and I feel like there's that magic that always happens on the first take where nobody knows sort of what's going to happen. It's never happened before.
Well, especially with the emotional level. I mean, I can't speak for Debra, but I probably have less as I went on, if we're but yeah, usually that first take it's one of those things where you go, you even as a director, you're like, okay, let's shoot it again. And then when you're in the editing room and you're like, you can shoot it 8 times, but you end up using the first take.
Always.
A lot.
And I come from more of a documentary background. So for me, that was really exciting for me to not know what was going to happen, and kind of, even if it's messy, there's that sort of, I think, immediacy that happens the first time that you never get again.
Yeah.
This is the very first thing we shot, actually.
Mm-hmm.
You in the bookstore, great bookstore.
Well, I want to say about that bookstore, it's a sweet little bookstore in Portland on the east side of the river. It's called Mother Foucault's, as in Foucault's pendulum. Mother Foucault's bookstore is just a sweet bookstore.
It's great, and they were really, really hospitable and very friendly, and they were very cool.
And I'm glad to hear that. I'm not surprised. And then if people get the DVD and watch the extra material, the deleted scenes, you get a longer scene there. I mean, a lot of good scenes in the deleted scenes, but one of my favorite is there in the bookstore. And David, the part that sadly had to be cut out, where you expostulate my concept of the extinction of experience. That was beautiful. I wish I had a YouTube with me saying what you said. Maybe I'll just capture that and use it because you absolutely got my kind of my key idea. You got it. You absolutely pegged it.
And I'm forgetting. Was that scripted and taken from your book, or what was it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right on. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of the parts that Tom sort of extrapolated from one of my other books, actually. Or maybe I talk about the extinction of experience in the dark.
You talk about it, isn't it in Wintergreen?
It's
Evergreen?
it's in the Thunder Tree.
Oh, Thunder Tree. That's right.
Thunder Tree, right?
We
But
should
you actually
note to the viewers that whereas the Dark Divide is mostly about the book, that specific book, but Tom took things from Bob's poetry and numerous other books he's written, and nature books and all kinds of things. So there's a lot of Robert Pyle represented in this movie from your career.
I think it's really seven or eight books total.
And by the way, one more but in here. The current scene, I don't think a lot of people get this. What we're watching right now, I'm making field notes. David is making field notes. Bob is making field notes, and they're perfectly cogent for what he's seeing right there, those butterflies. Then all of a sudden, he shifts into a poem. And Tia had told him, go out and write those poems you always talk about. Here's where he does it. And Tom actually wrote the poem that's in there, but he riffed on the epigraph of one of my books to do that, about this is for all the explorers, those who go seeking, all the searchers. And it's that right at the end of at the beginning of Dark Divide. It's the dedication. And you made a poem out of that, which I realized on my 89th watch that that's where that came from. So humbled. But he makes a big shift there from the field notes into the poetry.
To talk about the poetry, when we wrote the movie, and I mean, this was always designed so we were going to hear Bob's poetry like 8 or 10 pieces throughout the course of the film. So when you watch the film, there's these long sequences that are just quiet, and we're hearing the forest and watching David hike. And David came in and we did a whole voiceover session and we recorded the poetry. But then what we realized was, David, you did such a amazing job just showing us with the little movements.
We were all pretty on the same page of like, let's lose it. It's just, I like it. It's nice, but you don't need it. It's better without it.
Because you tell us everything we need to know with your
it really, as you said, there were like 8 or 9 instances of that. Some short and some a little longer. That was probably the longest one. But as you're watching it, you're like, it's just better without it. And it was a hard cut to make, but it's stronger for it.
Well, I hope you didn't really lose it, because I really want to hear it sometime.
Well, you wrote it.
You can say it to yourself whenever you want.
I want to hear Allen Ginsberg reading it.
I can do Louis Ginsberg too. Either one. I can do either one.
Alan and Louis, the whole family. We just missed one of my favorite shots, is you walking across the log. I love this little sequence where we see Bob Pyle. He crawls across the log. He kind of crab walks across the log, and he walks, and we see him build up his self-esteem here, and then the next thing you know, he almost drowns and kills himself.
I think, didn't we restructure it later, the sequencing? The sequence, it was going to be the reverse of that, wasn't it? It was going to be walking, and then he gets more scared, and then that's how it was originally sequenced out. We reversed it. So that was confidence, and then immediately plunges into the icy cold river.
That was sort of the fun. And go ahead, Bob.
Tom. Go ahead, Tom.
To me, that was like the fun and the hell of this movie. Was the original cut was exactly twice as long as the final version. There was so much material. I mean, shot so much. It was fun, but also sort of terrifying to sort of, like with the documentary, be able to move things around and cut and put, juxtapose things, and really in the edit sort of put things together in a way that told the story really quite a bit differently than I think it was originally written.
Yeah. Tom, did you get hypothermic in that scene?
Tom?
Tom did.
No, not Tom.
David did. Yeah, that was crazy. That was I've never experienced that before. I hope I never do again. But that was that all that water, that rushing water you're seeing, was ice about 23, 24 minutes prior to that, and it all come from the top, the snow-capped mountains, and it was it was extremely cold, too cold, and our safety guy there, I remember on that second take, because when you see me going to the side, going no, ow, or whatever I'm saying, those are real words of me, David Cross, going, I can't be in here anymore. This is nuts. I felt like I was in danger, and then we went to do it again. You're like, I got it. You just got to get down. You got to give me a couple more seconds. You got to go underwater. You got to give me like 5 seconds, and
the look you gave me, you looked at me like I'm gonna do this. But and then I may kill you afterwards.
It was insane. And then I did what I could. And then the safety guy was like, pull him now, and like dove and went in and pulled me out. And I had to, it was it was good several minutes before I got I couldn't think straight. I lost a bunch of words. I couldn't talk properly.
You didn't know for about 2 hours. You didn't know where you were. It was that 100%. Lisa Mall, who's on here, was the person that came and told me.
I didn't know where I was. No, I knew. No, I remember saying Puerto Rico, thinking I was saying Portland, and I knew that wasn't right. It wasn't that I thought it was in Puerto Rico. I remember forgetting the word Portland. And
right, saying, you couldn't remember the name of it. Yeah,
and I remember forgetting the word for trailer, like talking about going back to get,
it was really scary.
The way that I describe it is like those big lead aprons you wear at a dentist when they do x-rays, but just sort of going over my brain, like just like you just are everything. It gets dark and you just can't think. It's weird. It's very strange.
We're past it now, but there's that moment where we do the shot where you climb out of the water, which I think we did in one take. And I mean, having been there, I feel how, like, you can look at the movie and see your face is turning purple. You're so cold. I was so scared. And we had a little, like, weird little hot water sort of like portable shower thing. And it was like,
it didn't work. Remember?
It didn't work.
It wasn't working.
That was bad.
Yeah, it was,
that was my scariest day on this. Lisa says she agrees it was true. It was scary. So there's a scene we didn't shoot that like is definitely my one sort of regret, because you shoot a movie and you spend 10 years writing and rewriting the movie and you have it perfect, and then all of a sudden, like in this case, there's a thunderstorm and you have the scene you wrote with people out in the water and you can't shoot it and you just walk away from it. There was a scene where David goes out of his campsite, walks out in the next morning and goes to bathe himself in the lake. And across the lake, there's a woman who's had a single mastectomy. And they have this like amazing silent moment where Bob is looking at her and she's looking at him, and they have this just sort of like very primitive, in a positive way, connection. And then he realizes she's trying to tell him that his tent is on fire behind him. And we couldn't film because there was a thunderstorm. I mean, you would have gotten killed had we put you out there. And which, David, you probably don't know about. The casting process was amazing because we worked with a group in Portland that is a support group for women who've had mastectomies. So we talked to all these women, and it was this amazing experience where they were so excited, and like to show someone who had gone through this just out in nature, being themselves and being comfortable. And we found
the way it was written was you don't know that she's had one yet. It's revealed, and as the audience sees it as Robert sees it.
It was such a special scene to me, and it was one of those things that then.
And you traded it in for this scene, right? You said, "Well, let's shoot the bear poop." We'll do that.
Because it's bear poop, right? I mean, that's money. That's $1 million scene right there. I always love this shot where it's just this stupid joke in the middle of this beautiful, lush Jurassic Park scene.
It's almost Dumb and Dumber, but it's smarter.
Thank you. And then there's these guys on the ATV. So there's a thing back in the 90s when this film took place where there was a lot of animosity between the more traditional hikers and then the off-road vehicle people. That's changed somewhat, but we tried to capture that in the film, where, you know, as a hiker, you'd get to these places and the off-road guys would have like destroyed the trails. And that's something I'm happy to say that's changed a lot in the ensuing, 30 years. So to the point where it was actually hard for us to find trail that had been damaged. So when you see that in the film, that's something we had to create for the movie to mimic what the trails were like 25 years ago. I like that, like the John Muir shirt is sort of like your, what's the volleyball in Castaway? Why am I blanking on this? Yeah, it's sort of your Wilson, right? It's like your only thing you have to talk to or interact with over the course of the movie.
I think that net you make after you lose Marcia, that's the most wonderful net. I've had to make, ad hoc nets many times, but that's the best one I've ever seen.
I remember we were going to shoot this. You were going to be naked in the scene. And then we realized you were going to end up in the hospital. Like everything there was like total. This was a mess.
Well, this is another one where there were raspberry bushes and there's thorns everywhere. And so a lot of these, it wasn't anything that was severe at all. But, a lot of shooting this, I mean, I had, those little, little cuts, tiny little, thorn cuts for, the next 2 weeks of shooting. They were like all over my thighs and my calves. And a lot of the stuff that you see throughout this movie is, although the makeup woman did an amazing job. She was great.
Heather Grapaldi. Yeah.
What's her last name?
Grapaldi.
She was awesome. She was really good, and had quite a lot to do and to track. But yeah, a lot of these little bruises and scrapes and cuts were real. And then they're there, they're on there. So you gotta.
Speaking of track,
yeah. I love this shot that's coming up where you clutch the net and you're just sort of like, hold me, John Muir. It's like the only thing you have. It's like your whoopee. You have it's the only thing you have to hang on to for safety.
Well, it echoes the scene in the laser tag too when he hangs his head. But that.
Oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah, no, it does. It's a perfect echo. But that particular frame with the boot by the track is just like a photograph in The Dark Divide.
I remember that.
This is like such a great example of what David does, because we just like let him do his thing and it's a slow zoom in and you don't need anything else. You get everything he's going through there.
And that might have been a place where there was some VO and no, lose it. You don't need it. It fucks it up. Yeah.
The proverbial fork in the road. Do I continue or do I go home? The reluctant hero. Joseph Campbell tips his hat.
He doesn't want to. He
doesn't want to.
He really doesn't want to continue at this point, but he has to.
And it's hard to see. If you actually were to watch this on a big TV, you can see it's raining. It's just coming down. It's so cold. It just sucks.
Yeah, that was another thing about this movie, and how we had no budget. But if it rained, and also the weather in the woods in the Gifford Pinchot National Forest and by Mount Hood and all that, the weather can change like that, and it can be very dramatic and can be very sudden. And we did not have the luxury of, there was no rain cover set or anything. So if it rained, we shot.
Yeah. If
it was windy and stuff was getting blown up, we shot. And if it was, we had no choice. We just had to shoot. There's that one scene where it's pouring. You can't really tell it's pouring, but it is a deluge, and it's shot far because
awful storm.
Yeah,
awful.
All right, just run up there, far away. It was like a long lens shot, really long lens, and just run and come back down and zigzag, and everybody's screaming out.
Oh my God! You're like, what do I do? I'm like, just hike. Thunder. I feel like that does to some extent come across in the movie. I hope it feels authentic in that sense that we're out in these just ridiculous, crazy places.
It's authentic. I just sometimes it was not a choice. You know, we had no choice.
Thank you, and thank you for not quitting. Thank you for
thank you, David.
doing that.
And I agree with Kelly Martin Hurley. The music is amazing. It's a really good soundtrack, good score. It's really, really great. You did a good job, Tom.
Thank you. So this was such a unique movie because we had talked to the Avett Brothers and the other bands on their label before the movie. So I was able to shoot these scenes knowing the songs we would use. So I was shooting with like a certain rhythm in mind. And I mean, most people watching this might not know that never happens. You shoot the movie and then find the song. So when I was location scouting and things, I'd be listening to certain songs and they would really inform the sort of rhythm of the movie. There you go. David Koechner.
David Koechner.
Closest thing we probably have to a villain in the movie. That's one of the scenes I got to watch from about 3 feet behind the camera. That was pretty cool.
So this whole campfire scene we shot over 2 very long nights, and we actually, you wouldn't know it to watch the movie, but it's actually shot in a very sacred rock that juts out into the Columbia River that is owned by the Warm Springs tribe. And we had a long conversation with them, and they gave us permission to shoot there. And just sort of for me behind the scenes, that was incredibly special because it fit the tone of the scene so well. And I love that this scene that talks about the folks in the film are actually from the Yakima tribe, but it speaks to the native experience, and the fact that we were able to shoot in this very special place really meant a lot to me.
Yeah. And I think them as well, you know?
Yeah.
And
it was
Kimberly just got a major award for those scenes.
Yeah, Kimberly won an award from the Red Nation, which is basically like the big Indigenous Film Festival awards for the movie.
Best supporting actress.
Yeah, and Dayami Thomas, who plays the son here, is amazing guy who his day job, his passion is he travels around to different reservations and is a suicide prevention counselor for tribal teens, and he's just like amazing.
And he came from Arizona to do that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, when there's 2 nights shoots, and I was there for one of those nights, there's a lot of sitting around and waiting around, as most people probably know there is in any movie anyway. But during that time, David Cross and David Koechner got going. They just started riffing.
So many outtakes. Oh my God.
My favorite deleted scene, I mean, the scene I'm saddest about going out, was the one about Brigadoon. The great line about Brigadoon, where the grandma is saying all this wise Indian talk, and you bust her and you say, "Wait, I heard that in Brigadoon," and that was just perfect anyway. But
then you find out that they love that's like a movie they watch, they're super into it. And David Koechner, has no idea what they're talking about.
No, wasn't going to work, but you kept shooting, and David, you said, "Wait, I recognize that. That's from Grease." And then you got going on this whole Grease thing, and you had the entire cast and crew just absolutely split in the gut.
You know, it's one of those things where I know that I'm wasting time, and I know we're never going to use it, but there's value beyond that to just, it's been a long, you're doing night shoots, everybody's tired, there's no amenities. There's not even like a coffee station or anything, and everybody is, it's like, you know what? I know we're gonna get backed up a little bit, but just let's all have a laugh and let's fuck around. And Koechner, I've known Koechner for long time, and I've worked with him in a number of films, and he's just a treat. He's a professional. He comes in, he makes everybody happy. He's a rare guy that comes in wants to make sure everybody's happy, and he's very deferential and complimentary to everybody. Make sure everybody knows everybody's name, and he's just a treat to work with, man. He's the best.
Yeah, but you two together were absolutely a synergism. You were terrific.
There's another one of those examples of like, you have a lot of shooting by yourself and feeling sad and then you get like, oh, now we can play. And also that was we were shooting this when my wife and daughter were able to visit.
Yeah.
For a couple of days. So that just picked up my spirits tremendously, and gave me a whole new energy, and so that was great too.
There's so much happening in this scene too, where they realize they've stepped on your toes. You're trying to feel them out. David and Kimberly, the husband and wife, are fighting. The son you sense all these issues with this like weird adopted dad that he has nothing in common with. And then there's Harvest Moon, who doesn't say anything in the scene, but she has all of these great moments where you sense that she's sort of the chorus, where she's sort of irritated by and sort of sides with certain people. Yeah.
Yeah, but I hope everybody will see the DVD, see Harvest Moon's Bigfoot tale telling. She's famous, actually, as a Quinault Indian storyteller, and she does the very, very best Bigfoot storytelling around the campfire, and that's present in the deleted scenes on the DVD. It's worth it just for that.
It's amazing to me she doesn't say anything in the movie, because she's an NEA grantee, and she studied under, for those of you who grew up in the Pacific Northwest, a guy named Chief Laluska, who, if you were like me and grew up in Oregon or Washington, this was like a mandatory field trip that you went to Chief Laluska, and he told you tribal tales from the Yakima tribe. And it was like one of my most memorable moments in my childhood. And she's someone who travels and tells these amazing, like 45-minute long Bigfoot stories. She's a very special person.
And Tom, do you remember the day that you and I first met, and your son Jack, who painted your backdrop behind you? The three of us went to Chief Laluska's longhouse that day. Remember that?
Absolutely, which is where I used to go on field trips when I was a kid. That's a super special place to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad, did you know this, Bob? My dad was an archaeologist. So I grew up going to digs in Southern Washington and Eastern Oregon.
Wow. Where are we now? The campfire.
Okay, we're ending the campfire scene.
Yeah,
much shorter.
That Cultus Lake scene was.
How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing fine. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm thinking of dumb things that I'm not, but your stories are so good. Earlier when Robert Pyle said major award, I couldn't stop thinking of the leg lamp from A Christmas Story.
I know.
It's a major award.
Thank you.
And then my only concern is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, there is some nudity with David Cross. I'm just trying to remember how graphic it is. Meaning, I may have do I have to cut the feed? I don't want to get us kicked off of YouTube or whatever.
Or Twitch. Yeah, because Twitch, they're so conservative.
Right.
David's a very sexual person, right? And it was really important, I think, for us to capture that in the film. There was actually a lot, I got to be honest, there was a lot more nudity in the script than there ended up being in the movie.
I'm just trying to remember, is it like nudity like a Coppertone ad, or is it like, like what or whatever. Like I'm trying to remember.
It's the butt cheeks.
David, it's your bottom. Do you want to talk about this, or you want me to talk about it?
I kind of went away to a magic place where I was just thinking about my naked ass, and I'm still there. Actually. Oh, I got really bruised up in this scene.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like whether or not you have clothes on, there was basically nothing between you and the places we were filming. I mean, it was incredibly physical movie. You were just black and blue by the time we were done.
Yeah.
The scene we just saw. Okay. The scene where we just saw Ryan Findley, who plays the guy that we saw back at the gas station, who now runs into him and shoves David up against that tractor. Ryan's amazing. But this is one of the rare times we did like 8, 9 takes. So you see him grab David by the straps of his backpack and pick him up and shove him against the tractor. But what you don't know is he was grabbing David by like the chest meat and lifting him up off the ground and shoving him against the tractor. And you have these just black marks on your chest for days.
Yeah. Well, initially I was like, hey, you can fake this thing. I'll sell it. I'll sell it by pushing back and everything. But you don't have to actually grab me by the chest. You can just sort of put your hands like this on the thing and he'd be like, oh yeah, cool. Sorry. But he was just way into it. He was way into the scene. And then we'd shoot it again. You were right. We did a number of takes on this. And I think we had sound issues too a couple times, but and then we do it again. And he would just grab. It was really starting to get bad. And then I remember, I think the sound guy on his own came over and said, "Hey man, don't grab the actor like that."
Oh yeah, Kyle did that. That's right, because we didn't know.
Kyle,
I remember it's like take 7.
You don't really have to grab. You don't really have to grab him by the rip off his
nips.
But he was just into the, and he was apologetic each time, like, oh shoot, sorry, okay, yeah, and then would just get into it.
And this scene we're watching here with you and Gary Farmer, this is the kind of scene that I feel like normally doesn't work, because you're like, hey, we're going to sit for 4 minutes and just sort of exchange information. And there's this, your physicality here I love, because Gary just sits there and doesn't move, and you're kind of moving around, and you're like a little bit like a boxer, and you're trying to sort of get his number. And I just love the sort of dynamics of this scene where
I was so happy to hear that Gary Farmer was in this and taking that role, because initially it was going to be somebody else who was also good. I can't remember who it was. I was excited about, but then when he couldn't do it, and then Gary came in, and I saw Dead Man when it came out, and I was, I just like, this guy's amazing, and I was really, really psyched that I got to work with him, and he's so good. He's so good. He's got so much weight and gravity. Just so much gravity, just sitting there, and it's great.
The conversation you two had really captured some very complicated issues that I've written about in Wintergreen and elsewhere at length, and you captured it all in a 10-minute conversation or less.
Well, it's not.
David, you wrote the whole scene about the bird. Dumb little bird, stupid little bird. That's entirely you. And Gary delivers that in a way that's just like he just like skewers you with it.
Yeah. I like that it's not patronizing or condescending to either side. It's not it's not that what you would normally see is the kind of two-dimensional characters having a two-dimensional conversation, but it's complicated, and each side has valuable points to make, and and it's a conversation you probably wouldn't see, that would seem foreign to people in 2021, but it's just it treats the two characters evenly and smartly, I think.
Well, and it's always going to be relevant in the Northwest forever. But I got to say too, that T-shirt you're wearing, the other night we had the Christmas party or the New Year's party for the Washington Butterfly Association on Zoom, and half the people were wearing that T-shirt, that Ideology developed for the Butterfly Association.
Amazing.
And a lot of them had seen the movie, and they saw their T-shirt in the movie. It was so cool.
Look at this. This is one of my favorite shots in the movie, by the way, where we just kind of hang out and we watch and we just sort of see the loneliness and the destruction. And yeah, they've logged it and they've destroyed the side of this hill, but it's about more than that. And we sense Bob's walking away from this conversation with his perspective on the world rocked a little bit. Like everything Gary says is, he doesn't see anything that's wrong. And you may disagree with it, but like he makes these amazing points and he challenges you.
Yeah. And he's, that walk up was just pure frustration. you know, he has had he's saying his kind of bullet point things that are valid, that usually, you know, land, and they don't land so much with this guy. And this guy comes back with, you know, he also kind of belittles him, and but does it in like not a very bullying way. And he's walking through all the clear cut, you know, and yeah, it's a kind of you would have to have that scene before you had this scene. Like if you just stuck this scene in there, it wouldn't have earned this kind of anger and rebellion. It would just seem kind of childish and rash, which it is. But you know, and then we kind of pay it off later at the end of the movie. But that scene, you know, with the pulling all the stakes out, would not have worked if you hadn't had that scene prior to it.
No, you're
It's
right.
It's a cool scene. I think we shot it. I mean, we shot it in basically 2 takes, the wide and the tight, and it's that moment where the Bob character in the movie, which is different than Bob in real life, is trying to fight back and stand up for himself and be the kind of person that he thinks Tia would want him to be, but they're going to cut those trees down. It doesn't mean anything.
No, it's a kind of just primal and childish, and it's a thing that we all have, and you want to act out, and you know, I think upon reflection, you know, we don't really see it in the movie, but we can imagine maybe 30 minutes later when he's, you know, not hyperventilating, and he probably is thinking like, should I go put those back? You know, like that kind of thought of, you know what I mean? It's just a petulant, rash, childish thing to do. And again, we have a nice little reference paying it off at the end. But yeah, it's you earned that because of that prior scene, you know.
Hey, and in the prior scene, I have to ask you, where he turns down the second cup of coffee, was that ad lib or is that in the script?
That was in the script.
That was in the script, yeah.
That was very, very nice.
One of the things we don't talk about a lot, I mean, it's not overt in the movie, but I mean, it's, I guess, if I'm in the movie, it's something that I think about a lot. Is one of the things I like about the movie is it sort of asks this question about what does it mean to be a man in the present day. And one of the things you taught me, Bob, was you're this guy who loves butterflies, right? Which is there a more sort of fragile, I mean, let's be honest, like something that's sort of associated with femininity and sensitivity, and yet you're this guy that goes on these amazing adventures and expeditions. And it taught me when I read the book and sort of in making the movie that you can stand up for yourself and you can be strong. And that doesn't mean that you're like those guys who are the loggers or people we're going to see later in the film that are these sort of like kind of toxic feeling people. You can stay true to what you believe and what you love. And that is also what it means to be a man and to be a strong person and to stand up for what you believe in. That was something I took away from your book. And also the book that I love just as much, that the part of the film is based on, Sky Time and Gray's River.
Just come out in a brand new edition.
Yeah, a few days ago, right?
Yep, from Counterpoint Press, brand new.
I adore that book. So that book, whenever you see scenes at Bob's home or these other little moments, those are from Sky Time and Gray's River, which is about the role of nature in our everyday life. And Bob talks about his home and his hikes he takes every day, but he takes that, his own personal experience, and extrapolates it into a series of sort of universal themes that I think appeal to all of us and touch all of us. Is that fair, Bob? Is that too much?
Thank you, Tom.
That's it.
Well,
I'm making a jackass out of myself.
I mean, I feel that my role as a writer and maybe David and Deborah share something of this as actors and the other cast, is to sweeten the life of others. Life's hard. Life has a lot of rough edges. Lately, it sure as hell does. And what do we do our work for? We do our work not as Barry Lopez, the wonderful writer who just passed a couple of weeks ago. He said, we're not here to garden our reputations. I mean, we have to watch for our professions, yes, but we're not here to garden our reputations. I like to say we're here to sweeten the life of others a little bit. And if I've been able to do that with my books, it pleases me. But then to see other artists such as yourselves take that effort and expand upon it and build upon it, a higher form of art, really, in some ways, and take it out to the world, it makes me feel as if my little effort has been redoubled and extrapolated and built upon. And I just keep coming back to this word humbling, because it really is humbling to see artists like you two and the rest with whom you work, that crack cast, that crack crew, and then the land. I'd like to see the magic of the tripod between the artist and the land and the people who are going to take that art and take that in. So if what you say is true, Tom, I'm just glad and grateful, and I thank you all for making it happen.
I see butterflies in my backyard. I mean, I live in LA. I don't see them that often, but when I see them, I'm just like, now they mean something very different to me than they meant a few years ago.
Good. That's a hope of mine.
Every time and I don't do this often, maybe 4 or 5 times a year, but every time I have a plate of butterflies, and I think about the movie. I think about you, Robert, and I think, because they're expensive, and they're delicacy in at least where I'm from. I grew up in Georgia.
He's totally not.
Try a little saffron. Saffron helps.
That's also expensive. Now
I know, yeah. Well, black pepper. Black pepper's not bad. Hey, David, I'll never forget the little video that you did on your front porch of you and your daughter with the red admiral butterfly, and her delight in that red admiral butterfly that you caught on film with her. And then what a pleasure it was for me to get to meet your family at the site and give her my butterfly coloring book.
Yeah, she loved it. She had just started. Kind of making sentences. I think she was about 2 years, 4 months at that point. So she had just started being able to have a conversation, but she was very, very excited by the by the butterflies and the butterfly coloring book, for sure. That was very, very, very thoughtful of you. Thank you.
Good. No, my pleasure. It was so sweet.
We should be clear. So Bob Pyle, aka Kenny Rogers, not only has written, I'm biased, but my favorite outdoor books. He also wrote he's also the lead author of the Audubon Field Guide to North American Butterflies, and has authored a number of children's books about butterflies that are, really special. So if you have kids, I can guarantee they will. He puts so much passion into what he does.
Thank you.
I want to mention, or want to bring up, as we're watching this, like what a spiritual experience it was watching the movie for the first time. What I love is that you spend so much time on just being in the wilderness and seeing, Robert, played by David, just experiencing nature. And, I felt like the time that was spent, maybe another editor might have just cut stuff like, let's just cut to the scenes where, like, there's a lot of time spent just in the sort of serene and the melancholy feel. And that, I don't know, I was very moved, seeing the movie for the first time really struck me.
Hey, let me ask you something, Chris. Do you think that your experience watching it, was it heightened or what's the word? Not enhanced, but was it different because of COVID and the pandemic and all that?
100%. It felt different because God, I'm trying to remember when I first saw it. Like it was, I don't know, maybe August or something. And it was just, I mean, gosh, I think we've all got fatigue from it, right? So just this, wow, you could go out. I mean, you could probably go on a trip like that and not have to wear a mask as you're in a national forest, right? I mean, you run into people, fine, throw a mask on, but that actually, it was heightened by what we've been through in this last, year.
Doing press for the movie, and that came up. I mean, a fair amount of time. I'd say like a third of the time somebody would bring that up. Like, this is, it was such a pleasure to watch this, because of, all the things that individual was experiencing because of, lockdowns and all that kind of stuff, and where we are, and maybe even just like a romantic, emotional memory to this thing that people used to take for granted that you can't do much anymore.
Yeah. I think it also, that's awesome to hear, because that was, there was a moment where we talked about, do we wait to release the movie until COVID's over? And that was one of the reasons we decided to put it out now, is so people could just sort of get that escape and reminder. I hope the film also reminds people that just because you disagree with somebody doesn't mean you can't have a conversation with them and can't find common ground and find things that you can agree on. I mean, that scene with you and Gary Farmer is a great example. I don't think your character walks away from that hating him. I think he walks away from it with a lot to think about.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I want to go back to what we're watching now. Bob, what is the name of that very specific white plant flower thing that only grows there? In the beginning of the scene when he's come through the lava tubes, what's the real name of that?
Oh yeah.
Not that you should know this, but you're maybe.
No, I do know. It's just like all other names these days. It's fleeing. It's called the ghost orchid. No, not the ghost orchid.
It's really cool. Tom, you don't remember what that thing was called, right?
I didn't know what they were, but you saw them and they looked like, remember in Star Trek where they would go to like the other planet and there would be these weird
but that's one of those things.
Saprophytic plant.
It's specific to that.
In fact, Tia. In fact, you would have no way of knowing this, but Tia used to volunteer. She was a botanist, and she used to volunteer on rare plant surveys in the Gifford Pinchot. And one of the ones she did was for that particular plant.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. It's called the. It's a saprophyte, so it feeds on dead stuff in the soil and doesn't have its own chlorophyll, and that's why it's so white and ghosty.
Doesn't it do some? It has some other aspect to it that's kind of really cool. Like, I don't know what it is, but like at night they do this, or in the winter they do this, or there's something about it that is also very interesting.
That's right. It's full of surprises. If I can only think of its name, it's the ghost.
And this is, by the way, this is a place called the Big Lava Beds in the Big Gifford Pinchot National Forest, where we filmed in the exact places that Bob wrote about in his book. And you probably can't tell from the film, but it was an incredibly dangerous place. It's all pumice, and when you walk, every time you walk, you hear this like doom, 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 because you're over these lava caves under the ground.
And people in the crew got hurt.
Jade, our costume designer, she twisted her ankle here.
Yeah, and but we could only get in and out. There was no access. Nobody had. You're literally climbing up where rocks and there. People are lugging equipment, trying to haul it up. There's no stairs. There's no flat boards. There's no nothing. And we're like. guys like us, like, okay, yeah, we'll do it. And but there are also people that are like, hey, I didn't sign up for this shit. And this is
Yeah,
the
no joke.
that's where we
one of
have
the
mountain
most
lion speed.
difficult- What's that?
At the foot, at the base where the plants were that I was referencing before. When I come in, that's when we were getting ready to shoot that. I think it was that we were getting ready to shoot this because we were there for a number of days, and we were getting ready to shoot where I come out of the lava tubes, and I'm exhausted, and I'm just going through my pack trying to eat stuff, whatever there is, because I'm starving, and that's where when we were getting ready to shoot that. That's where they gave us that mountain lion speech, like, "Oh yeah, just also want everybody to be aware. There's there's a mountain lion, and they're very dangerous, and they will kill you. They will kill you. So try not to make any noises. And if you see a mountain lion, don't keep your eyes on it. Don't back away. And all right, have a good shoot."
And we had bears too. Like you'd show up at these locations and there'd be these big, like fresh, steaming bear patties. That was scary.
Thank you for not saying piles.
The lava tubes. Okay.
Wait, just before the lava tubes, Kelly just came in and said, could it be Indian pipe? It is a kind of Indian pipe. You're absolutely right, Kelly. But it's a kind of Indian pipe that's white, and it has, I think it has the name Ghost attached to it. But it is a kind of Indian pipe. That's correct.
David, can you tell everybody about how we got to the lava tubes?
Yes. And I will tell you that Tom, on a couple of occasions, described to me what I'm about to describe to you. And trust me when I say it does not do any justice to how monumental and shocking it was. So to get to the lava tubes, you're already kind of in the middle of this forest, and you have to travel for many miles up kind of a one lane dirt roads, not even real roads, just dirt paths. And then we're traveling for quite a distance, a long time, and then you get to this and there's nothing, there's no sign of civilization, zero, nothing. And you get to this kind of old kind of rusty metal gate that is locked and secure, and you have to go and you punch in a code, and you open the lockbox and you unlock the chain on the gate, and you go through this metal gate, you go back, you lock it back up, and you travel another 3.5 miles through an even more narrow, just rocky dirt road, and you eventually get to a clearing. And in the clearing, there is one kind of tall, large A-frame cabin with a big base to it, and nothing else around. Zero, nothing. Again, there's no sign of civilization. It hasn't been for a while. You are in the middle of nowhere, and you get out, and there's nothing to suggest you're about to experience what you're about to experience. And you go up into a log cabin, and if somebody lives there, and it's the decor is kind of 50s, 60s, or something, but not in a fun, kitschy way, just like lived in. There's like an old kind of boxy TV and a lazy boy recliner and a kind of a metal fold out TV tray next to it, and some Bakelite kind of dishes, and there's like a little kitchenette, and you walk in, and there's like a bathroom, and then next to the bathroom in this little tiny little hallway that's about 6 feet, if that much, there's no big open area. Like a lot of A-frames have open areas, and there's not. There's just this wall and these kind of little rooms that are kind of open. And next to the bathroom is this other door that's like the bathroom door. And you open it, and immediately it is, without exaggeration, at least 30 degrees colder when you open it. And the air is thick and wet, and then that is the entrance to the lava tubes, and they're massive, and it's like entering like a James Bond villain thing that's an unsuspecting, behind a bodega and whatever, and you open it, and then there's this, a technological marvel, with computers and everything, and it's
like Batman's Batcave.
Yeah, and there's industrial strength sized those diamond metal diamond staircases where you have to strap a security thing in. Everybody has to wear a miner's hat with a very strong light on it, and you descend. I don't know exactly what it was, but like 150 feet below, and it is fucking freezing cold. Outside, it's about, say, 79, 80 degrees, and inside it's about, I'm going to say 42, and it's wet, and you can feel, and you descend. You go down this very steep stairwell. Again, you like strap in, and it was the craziest experience I have ever had shooting on a movie. And as I said, Tom described to me what I just described about you drive for a long time, middle of nowhere, but trust me, and I knew kind of what was going to come, but there's no way, you just experiencing it is nuts. Like, it's a guy's house over. Oh, Robert?
Yes.
I want to say also, what you can't
Ghost
tell
pipe,
when
that's
you
it.
watch the movie is that everything in that lava tunnel is razor sharp pumice.
Yeah.
And we would be filming, and all of a sudden you'd hear this like boom, and like a chunk would have fallen out of the ceiling somewhere, like a coffee table.
It also echoes. There's no light, there's no ventilation, and not only is it razor sharp, but it's all slick. It's really damp, and there's water dripping, and I was in my underwear the whole time, and it is and we came out once. We got all that equipment in there, and again, it was not safe. 2 people in the crew had to just to be on the safe side, check into a hospital. I think they had to go to Seattle, actually.
Mark Cullington's watching. Mark,
What?
I'm like a huge fan. He's an amazing director.
Yeah, I've known Mark for years. Yeah, he's Mark's awesome. Film director and a really awesome dude.
Hi, Mark. I like that shot. It's very serious. Let me see where that is. Hang on. That is Birmingham, Alabama. Yep. All right.
Are you serious?
Well, I have to say that part in the lava cave was the part that the movie got very scary and very real. And
scary to shoot, man. Yeah.
I mean, Tom, you almost killed David in a movie, which would have been maybe good PR for the movie. Maybe not good PR, but what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, that's great PR. Everybody loves that. Oh yeah, let's go right out and see the Twilight Zone movie.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Oh my God. No, it just
was. I will say that's like, I'm a guy in my documentary life. Like, I chase firefighters into burning buildings. I'm out in the illusions. I do all kinds of crazy stuff. That was about as hairy as it's ever gotten. And when you saw him running out just a minute ago, you see all that particulate in the air. Yeah. That's all the stuff that was in there that we were running through. So like, after the fact, everybody on the crew was like, I don't feel so good. And then like, we had to hire a company to go down and do like all this tests and make sure we weren't going to all get like cancer.
We were down there for, with the exception of coming out and getting lunch, we were down there for 12 hours. And in the scene where I'm kind of losing it at the end, that was the last thing we shot. And I was in an emotional state. I was, wildly uncomfortable. I'd probably, brand new scrapes and cuts. And that was a tough day. It was a really tough day.
That's another scene though, where it was one take.
The dark divide. I mean, the big lava bed is one of the most forbidding landscapes in the world that I've ever seen. In New Guinea, in all kinds of places. And I was not in quite such a difficult situation as you were, but I was lost out there in some lava caves. and it's tough. It's very, very rough. I was originally going to transect or bisect the entire lava bed on foot, and that was given up fairly soon. It can't be done.
You would have
Or if
died.
it's done, I would have died. That's what it was.
Well,
Yeah, I don't
book,
think David's body cuts were makeup. I think they were real.
No, there's a lot. Heather did an amazing job, but there was definitely you were black and blue. I can remember.
Yeah, but anything in the lava tube would have been cut. So I wouldn't have gotten black and blue stuff in the lava tubes. That would have been more scrapes. But I probably got just as many when we were shooting in those briars with the, I just had my underwear on and we were like running through raspberry patches and I was like really getting, those thorns were scraping me up. But I did get, I got a couple little cuts just because you almost can't avoid them. You're down there for 12 hours. It's slick. It's, we had cardboard laid down. It was just cardboard's not going to cut it. It's like,
no.
It's like,
yeah, and you're running and it's like uneven and everything's like going to kill you if you slip and fall on it. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a tough, that was a difficult.
I mean, even little things like the scene before this where you get back to your pack and you're wolfing down the food and you started choking. We were filming. It's in the movie. We didn't realize you were actually choking.
Yeah, just because I was, not being smart about how to do it. I was doing it real, That wasn't the smartest thing to do. Take my own advice and go like, yeah, guys, you can fake it. We'll cut it together. It's going to look great. You don't really have to drink from the tin of that nasty shit that was in my beard for a day.
Oh my God. Yeah, the sardine. It was like a tin of sardines and you're guzzling it.
But was it dangerous in that lava cave to breathe? I mean, was there even enough oxygen down there? Because it just,
I mean, there was obviously enough for us to all do it and not get lightheaded or anything. But I think
not all of us.
Some people did did get checked out and had some issues. I think if you had like asthma or any kind of condition like that, it would have been really bad.
Did you
we had a couple crew members that had like massive panic attacks and had to like leave.
Did you ever find out what the white particulate matter was? It was fabulous cinematically.
Thank God it turned out to not be anything related to radon. It was just basically water crystals.
They've been dumping. Yeah.
We had to hire a company because people started to get sick. We had to hire a company to go down and do all these tests and thank God it turned out to be nothing.
Let's talk about the owl here. This was a really interesting thing to shoot. That was a real owl, and we had an owl wrangler and very, very nice guys, I think from Georgia, right? They came out.
Yeah, the owl. I remember the owl flew first class and the guys flew out on Southwest.
And that owl, in order to get the owl to land on my head, and I had padding, under the hat, like some pretty
like thick leather, like strips
padding, but I still felt those claws. Those claws came in, and I felt them, and but they would have to throw frozen, dead mice in order to get the
at your face.
And so I'm just standing there in character, because they're just shooting, and then just as soon as the mouse falls, you hope that the owl. So I was trying to be amazed and thinking, oh my God, is it Tia in owl form? And this is wonderful. This is a rare thing, but I'm doing that while these two guys from Georgia are like, come on now, and then throwing frozen dead mice that are like hitting my face.
And those guys are wearing like welder's gloves. And like when you see the movie, the frame before and after we used is literally this mouse just hitting David in the face so that the owl will stay there and look at him. It was crazy. And they were like, we have never put an owl on a person's head. It was,
those fucking talons are insane. I mean,
that owl weighed like 15 pounds. It was a mother.
Yeah, that owl was a little bigger than a spotted owl, and but it was made up to look like a spotted owl. But when I've been out there with the spotted owls and the spotted owl researchers, what they will do is they'll put a live mouse where they want it to land, and every time a senator or somebody would come out to look at the old growth, they'd put a spotted owl there for the owl to come down. And everyone wanted to know in emails I've had over and over and over, did the owl really land on your head? Well,
that owl,
I'll tell you what, it
100%.
came damn close. I did have them fly at my head and brush my head and come very, very close to it.
Oh, in your original story. But in the movie, yeah, they trained the owl with a mannequin head with David's hat, and then they put the hat on David. What you see, that's an owl landing on his head and sitting on his head. Nobody's ever done that before with probably pretty good reason. And I remember the guy who came, he showed up with the owl, and he showed up with a kangaroo and like these raccoons. He just brought he's like, hey, maybe you need some more animals. So there's this freaking kangaroo running around the base camp. It was crazy.
Well, that would have taken liberties with the story there.
Oh, yeah, that would have been too much. The kangaroo.
It's so we could sell it to Australia and New Zealand.
Exactly.
I could see a koala, but
yeah.
And here we are at the Columbia Gorge, the end of the trail. And those are real trains. We just like the trains were running regularly, and we just kind of timed it out.
So this little part here, I thought was extraordinarily well done, and that's extremely affecting to people, David. What you say there.
You were like in your own world there, and we just rolled.
Well, I didn't write that. That's a line you wrote, I think, Tom, right?
Yeah, but I think I felt like the place you went to. I remember we basically did a couple of takes, and you were like, that was me. I mean, it was very intense. It's one of the most intense moments in the movie in its own way.
The runaway truck ramp, which comes from a short story of mine, is one of my favorite things in the whole movie because it brings Tia back, it brings some humor back, it brings some whimsy back in her life.
Do you know how we did the runaway truck ramp?
Not really.
The stunt drivers wouldn't do it, so I got a rental car and I drove up on Mount Hood and we suction cup mounted just like a Canon 5D to the windshield, and I got going like about 95 miles an hour, and I just drove up that trunk ramp.
You did?
Yeah, I destroyed the rental car.
Oh my God.
It's my proudest moment.
Did the highway department find out?
No. Did you broke the windshield, tore the bottom out of the car, ripped the bumper off.
I had no idea that you did that, Tom.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
Well done.
Shh, don't tell anybody. This is just between us.
I remember the first had an issue with my drinking the beer, and I just wanted to keep drinking beer.
It was real beer, yeah.
And like he would only give me one beer.
And that's Patterson Hood from Drive By Truckers.
Yeah,
that's waiting for you.
That's better than Patterson Hood at the campfire, who wouldn't give you any beer. David Koechner at the campfire.
Oh yeah.
He didn't give you any beer.
Well, what you maybe can't tell is like about 5 feet behind you, there's a cliff that's like 150 feet right down onto the highway.
That's why he wouldn't let me have the beer. But we were far away enough from it. It wasn't 5 feet. It was like 15 feet.
I think at that point, our AD, who is amazing, who literally kept the movie from going off the rails, I think his nerves were pretty shot by that point.
Yeah.
This is a lot.
Well, you really chugged that beer.
Yeah, right.
And then in a second, we're going to see you in the back of the pickup, and you'll see a pretty wide aerial shot. I mean, that's just you sitting in the back of the pickup.
Yeah, it was probably the easiest day I had. A pickup. I was happy to do that.
This was amazing. I couldn't believe we got away with it. We closed the like a 1.5 mile stretch of the highway right there in the Columbia Gorge. And
well, the way you caught the sense of the sweep from the beginning of the hike way up by Mount Rainier, way up by Highway 12, all the way down across the Sispus and the Lewis, and then come out at the Columbia. I felt as if you summarized the whole thing right there in those bookend shots.
That's like the real deal there.
The body language is like I was specifically way more in those scenes, like more like me, just like kind of more. I wasn't worrying about. I was just from that point forward, just being more relaxed and kind of natural to me, as opposed to like a little stiffer as I was in the beginning of the film, going in and all that, just posture and body language and all that stuff.
I love that this movie, I never see this in movies these days, where you just have so many quiet moments where we just get to sit and like watch you do your thing. You know, there's no need to cut away or just like, we didn't put the voiceover in. This whole sequence, these guys drop you off and there's no dialogue. And I think if I remember correctly, you kind of came up with this in the moment. We were trying to figure out something.
It was a logic problem of like, oh shit, we were there and like, oh fuck, what are we gonna do? It was something. There was like a logic issue of what are we gonna do with with Marcia, because we have to throw the rock through the car, and it, you know, there was like, and people were really kind of on their last nerve, you know. We got this late, and you know, there's a lot of like, just give it to me, you know, different people coming, I can make it fit, you know, trying to get it
exactly
fit. And then just as a solution, I was like, all right, let me go over and I'll put it over there and it'll be symbolic, and then we can clear the car. It was really about clearing the car. And we were like, he's not going to leave. He's not going to toss Marcia out or just leave it. So
yeah,
that was a great thought to do it that way. But the rest of it for the next few seconds to the end, exactly how it really happened.
Yeah.
Yours was a log, right?
It was a stick, big stick.
It was a stick. It was a big stick, but it was the same way it happened with the whistles. And by the way, the music right now, the Giants in the Trees, Ode to Pacific Anarchism, it's the best match of music with scene I've ever seen in a movie.
And this is Chris Novoselic from Nirvana, who has been an amazing supporter of the movie and is Robert Pyle's neighbor, and they're in a band together.
We're in a different band together. That's correct. Yeah.
I love that song.
You're in a Nirvana cover band.
Yeah, exactly. So keep watching. The best scene in the movie coming up right now. Keep watching.
And this epilogue is all Bob's life. And if you enjoyed the movie and this movie maybe touched you a little bit, I please encourage you to check out some of Robert Pyle's other work, which is he has the ability to take environmental issues and make them so
best scene in the movie.
Tia, we love you, Tia.
There's real Tia and real Bob.
I would encourage you to explore some of Bob's other work, which is just, for me, I mean, changed my life. And I think now more than ever, when we've all been cooped up in our houses, he reminds us of the importance of nature and the personal need that we each have for nature in order to heal and connect with other people.
And
thank you, Tom. And David, thank you. You really honored our lives.
Well, thank you for having the life you had. And
hey, it's still going on for a while.
And thank you, Chris Gore.
And thank you
for this happen. This is so fun.
Thank you.
And thank you for being a supporter of the movie. I'm truly honored and thrilled you liked it and have supported it.
I really just wish I had seen it on the big screen at a movie theater. I really miss movie theaters. I think this is so made for the big screen.
Yeah. It's
lucky to see
amazingly at the midst maybe of the pandemic, like September, October. The movie played in like 100 movie theaters in the US and Canada, which means like 14 people saw it. But yeah, it's we designed it to be an experience for people.
I got to see it in 2 movie houses, and one of them was an old restored 1920s movie house in Morton, Washington, which is right at the Dark Divide. It's very near where the first scene was filmed.
Cool. And thanks to everybody who watched this. Thank you, Shane. I'm glad you liked it. And thanks to all of y'all for, checking in. And again, thanks, Chris, for making this happen. And, it truly was a labor of love. Thank you, Evan.
And thank you, my dear friend Linda Kappen, for identifying the Indian pipe, ghost pipe. David, give my love to your family, will you please?
I will. I'll see Marlo in the morning. But yeah, I'll tell Amber you said hello, and good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
I'm
Thank you so much.
By the way, if you enjoyed the film, a portion of all of our profits from the film go to the National Wildlife Federation and to programs that protect wildlife and wild places. So please don't pirate the movie. Please just come on. It's $10.
And
like,
hey, and Tom,
if I can urge everybody, when all this awfulness is over, if you are nearby, or if it's put this on your bucket list, but go hike these trails. They're just stunning and beautiful and amazing, and take your family, and it really is life-changing. It's really just a really, really cool experience.
Yes. And as far as the awfulness being over, I want to say that Senator Maria Cantwell of Washington has just introduced legislation to codify the roadless area rule in the national forest, which was in danger of being done away with by, who, on his way out. And it will protect the dark divide in a way it's never been protected before. And now it's going to pass.
If you go to the Dark Divide's Facebook page, we actually yesterday put up a link to her website. I know she would really appreciate it if you thanked her and let her know that you appreciate what she's doing to protect this area. And to what David said, All Trails, which is an amazing free app, just put out a Dark Divide section where you can see all of the trails that were hiked in the film if you want to recreate any of the hikes in the film. And there's easy hikes and hard hikes, and whatever hike you choose, I think you're going to have an amazing experience. As you got a little taste of in the film, it's beautiful. It's a very special place.
Just watch out for mountain lions and lava caves.
and Bigfoot.
That's the only thing.
And Sasquatch. We didn't even talk about Sasquatch.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Hey,
Bob Pyle.
Bob
Pyle. Do you believe in Bigfoot?
I'd say about 87.5%.
That you believe?
Yeah. I'm getting close. Jane Goodall says she thinks the evidence is overwhelming. I think the evidence is way too much to dismiss lightly, but I have not yet seen it, and I am a biologist. I have found tracks 3 times, though.
If you buy the new edition of Bob's book, Where Bigfoot Walks, Crossing the Dark Divide, which is I'm biased, but I think a wonderful book. There's a new chapter where Bob talks about the encounters he's had since the original version of the book that the film is based on. And it's pretty convincing. And I know David doesn't believe in Bigfoot. I'm completely on the fence.
I really appreciated what Bob, you wrote about certainly the ability, the reason you can't just dismiss it out of hand, and where you're intuitively as a biologist, you're like, this is crazy, but the ideas of, could something be there, live there without us knowing, have its life, I thought was pretty convincing.
Well, thank you. And, the whole point of the book was not to prove it or to find it. That really, it's summarized on page 11, where I say that whether or not Bigfoot walks, it certainly is a major presence in the Northwest, one way or another. And if we manage to save a certain amount of the habitat that would be Bigfoot habitat, if it is there, we will have saved part of the greatest green treasure on earth that you got to experience firsthand, you great movie makers. But on the other hand, if the world becomes so tamed that we can't even imagine that there are giants abroad on the land, then we will have lost something profound.
Mm-hmm.
I could listen to you talk all day. It's the best.
Fortunately, you don't have to.
Oh, I would love to. Thank you, everyone, for coming. This was a treat. David and Bob and Chris, thank you all for coming to the party. Thank you guys for the great questions. Again, if you want to learn more about everything from ovarian cancer to how you can help protect areas where you live, please visit darkdividefilm.com. If you the DVD, just so you know, has about 4 hours of like commentary and deleted scenes and behind the scenes things that we're all very proud of, that we really put a lot of heart into, because we.
Can you send me a copy of that?
Do you not have it?
Mm-mm.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll pop one in the mail to you tomorrow. Did you get a shirt? Did you not get a shirt?
I got the artwork, but I don't think I got a shirt. No.
They were supposed to send one weeks ago. Okay, so Jeremy Collins.
There's a lot of stuff that hasn't come. I know other people who've sent things and things I've sent that people it hasn't arrived. It just should
have come months ago. Yeah. So Jeremy, if you go to darkdividefilm.com, Jeremy Collins, who's an amazing.
I got the artwork. I got the original.
Yeah. No, I'm telling them.
Oh,
like I'll send you a shirt. But Jeremy Collins, who designed the John Muir shirt that David wears in the film, did a special David Cross Dark Divide shirt, limited edition shirts that are printed. All the shirts are made and printed all within a 50-mile radius, so it has a very small carbon footprint. Those are on our website. And David and Bob, I will send you each one. Email me with your sizes. That's so weird you didn't get them.
Well, I can't wear a shirt with my face on it. I can't do that. But
oh my God, why? Why would you not do that?
I can put a poster up. That's clearly I can do that, but I'm not going to wear a shirt.
That would be so good.
No.
Well, send me your size. Send me Amber's size then. They're really cool shirts. They're
Amber is XXL.
You're not getting dinner tonight.
Yeah, you guys, let me know your shirt sizes. Seriously, I don't know why you didn't get them. And the DVDs are beautiful. They're 2-disc deluxe editions there's so much fun stuff we shot. There's a whole sequence where we did these slow 360-degree shots where you get to just explore the forest, behind the scenes.
Yeah, send me that for sure. But I have to relocate to Toronto for 6 months. So
you want to send me your new address, man?
No, just send it here. I've got people coming to watch the house and the dog and all that.
Did you get your boots?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And they're amazing. I wear them every day. They're great. They're
wonderful.
Chris, hit me up. Tell me your size. I'll send you a gift package.
They're so good, man.
They're really cool. They're really beautiful shirts, actually.
Cool.
Really good boots.
I'll wear a shirt with David Cross's face on it.
It's his face, and it's the beard becomes the Gifford Pinchot, and there's butterflies. It's Jeremy
it's a great illustration. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off. Thank you to everybody. Good to see you guys again.
Thanks, Rabbi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris. I'll see y'all. I guess the next movie.
Yeah.
Outer space.
Monday. Yeah, I mean, I've got like 3 more hours, Chris. What are we going to do?
We can keep talking. We could keep. We could do that.
Do you have like Napoleon Dynamite or something? Let's put
I'll put on another movie. Actually, next week we're doing a movie called Mondeo Returns. I want to let everybody know we do the Film Threat watch parties every Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Basically introducing you to indie films that you should see. And this one, when I saw it, blew my. David was right too. Just because that fatigue and that isolation, sense of isolation. And I thought, oh my God, I could, and I'm not a fan of camping. Like to me, roughing it is staying at a Courtyard Marriott. So but this made me like, wow, just like so many of the moments, like, especially the owl scene that, having a moment with a creature that is non-human in the wild and having a moment is just beautiful. And what I love that you did so well with the film is, took the poetry of Robert's book and really expressed that feeling. And I don't know, it really hit me when I saw it. It's one of those where you watch a movie and you can't watch a movie for a while after because you've seen a good movie. You got the good movie taste in your mouth still. And that's how I felt after seeing the film. I was so really moved by it, and I'm so happy that this was able to happen. So awesome.
Thank you for championing the film. And I mean,
thank you, Chris. That's gracious.
You know, I've been in the Film Threat family now since the 90s.
Yeah, you are part of the Film Threat family, Film Threat alum family, however you want to put it.
Thank you for just continuing to champion movies you love and keeping the faith. And I mean, it's harder more than ever now, right? As everything in the industry sort of constricts and everybody just wants to go to Netflix and get spoon-fed stuff. It's great to have a platform like this where we can interact with people and where there's something that's curated. And I mean, I'm not talking about this movie, but just coming in and discovering other movies with you has just been so amazing. Before we got on, I was saying you were the person that introduced me to Ren and Stimpy.
Oh, that's right.
Which is like one of my favorite things of all time.
Yeah.
Thank you for continuing to just like be passionate and fight the good fight.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Tom and Robert. It's been an honor. I'll talk to you guys soon. I'll email you. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
And thank you, everybody, for watching. Come back every week. We're doing watch parties, and we appreciate your support. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.